Hey everybody, welcome back to another How It's Made. Man, it's been a minute since I've done one of these, and I'm pretty excited to do one of these. This is going to be with one of my newest projects off of my most recent album called The Undertaker. One of probably my best projects, and I've had a lot of people asking if I could do some kind of breakdown here and there. Kind of excited to offer that to you guys. Yeah, if you guys don't know how this works, pretty much I go in, show you how it's made, of course, and it's all unscripted. And you kind of just get this good idea of my ADHD chaos. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm making sense or if I can even understand myself for half the time. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's just get straight into it. I don't even really know where I'm going to start. Let's start here. So pretty much the idea of this song was that I wanted it to go from this very close and intimate feeling just with this duet, this voice and ukulele duet. And it kind of just grows. Like sonically it grows, instrumentally it grows, even on the stereo spectrum it grows. One of the inspirations I got from that was Sweet Caroline, actually. They don't do it to this extent, but that was one of the songs that kind of gave me the idea of, oh, I could just make a song fall down a hill and like snowball effect just all the way until the end. So that's kind of what I did. Let's just get straight into it then. So you'll notice that I have this pitch track or pitch correction track right here. Well, it has a lot of regions in it. But what I did for this one, mainly for the pitch correction here, my idea behind it was that I was going to add this almost hauntingly, not that it was inhuman or that it wasn't natural, but I wanted to add these slight, weird, like almost hauntingly accurate pitches to the song. So again, not that it took away from the performance or anything like that, or not that I wasn't able to do a lot of this stuff, but it added just this weird extra layer, like taking vibrato away, for example. This little note, I took some of the vibrato away. It did sit right about here, but I kind of subtracted that back to 60. Just to make it, haunting. That's the only way I can describe it. But my voice kind of already had that quality. Like for this one, for example, I had some vibrato, yeah, but like I didn't touch that one. I did touch that one a little bit, but outside of that, there was this one I didn't really touch. This one I did touch quite a bit, but it was only 60, and my voice kind of already had that low vibrato to it. So that's pretty much the entirety of what this whole pitch correction track is about. And you'd also think like, oh, if I take a whole region and I put it in a pitch correction track and I focus on pitch correcting it, doesn't that mean that I'm pitch correcting the entire region? No. Some of these regions, actually the majority of these regions that I pitch corrected, I only pitch corrected a couple notes here and there. So really what you're hearing is pretty darn close to the final product. Which leads me to this next track right here. This one doesn't have any pitch correction on it whatsoever, not even automatic pitch correction. So that's pretty cool. That's really what I like to do with most of my songs. I don't really like to rely on it, but when I'm trying to get a certain sound, or if I'm trying to really have this kind of polish that might be harder to do on a take or might take more tries or something like that. Sometimes it's just better to go about it with the pitch correction. All right, moving on. If only I knew what it was like to feel the burning. Yeah, so that whole take right there was not pitch corrected. This one was, especially this one right here. I really did not want any vibrato right here. So here's something interesting that I did with this song. The original idea of this song was to have dual-tracked ukuleles going on the entire time, like even from the start. And when I did that, I realized that there was too much going on. I went on to the decision that it was just a lot. It was too much sonic information. So I deleted one side. That kind of sent me into this rabbit hole of really diving in and learning properly what mono and stereo phase values and all this other kind of stuff, really just how the stereo spectrum interacts with each other. So I wanted this song to grow, so at the very start, I went very mono. And then in the middle of the song, I started to add left and right elements here and there. But for the majority, like you can even tell, most of these are centered. How about this? Boom, 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 boom. So you'll notice that most of these are centered, or even very close to center when this section hits, right? There's some things here and there that I wanted to pan off to the right just as little ear candy, but even then I made sure that it still pulls up when you play it in mono. Granted, it may be a little quieter, but still, I wanted to pay attention to the mono portion of this song right here. So let's play it from here, and I can even flip it into mono for you guys to kind of show you how that sounds.
Different reactions that the still blood holds. Therapy to quench the taste of death. I am undertaking. I am what you see.
Yeah, so some of that information does go away, but you can still hear it. That's the biggest portion. You can still hear everything. Granted, some of it may be a little quieter, but that's mixing, baby. That's balance. Keeping it moving, pretty much this portion is like half mono, half stereo type of thing is how I like to think about it. The majority of the time, by the way, on the lead vocals, there's a stereo delay. Yeah, stereo delays pretty much, but it's so subtle. So subtle, but it's a nice little ear candy for people who actually pay attention, especially if they have headphones on.
Before you go, I see it. Look through.
Even that part right there. So that call and response, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da-da, that portion, I really wanted to hammer that in and make sure that was audible on both mono and stereo systems. So when I play it back,
Go, I see it. The broken window. Look through the cracks.
yeah, it pulls through perfectly. So now we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of the song. This is the second chorus. I always, especially with this song when I wanted it to grow, the second chorus, I wanted it to hit a little bit harder in a little different of a way. People aren't automatically off the bat going to recognize this, but as you can tell, now I'm starting to get into like panning and actually really trying to spread the sound spectrum and spread the stereo spectrum. So yeah, but now I'm still playing with that mono though. We got the mono. Now I actually added an acoustic guitar as a cool little texture. Yeah. Yeah, so now we actually also get into the cool horn section. This part is so freaking fascinating to me. I absolutely love this. So I want there to be spacing between each instrument, but I'm still trying to like confine to that near mono I guess rule, for lack of better terms. I don't want to call it rule, but you know what I mean, right? Everything is still panned close to center, but I wanted to give it space. So if I play the horns by themselves, this portion, the fullness, doesn't have to be in the horns. It really doesn't. And you notice when I solo the horns sound hollow right here, right here. They sound almost empty. That's because that's not where the meat and potatoes is. I'm also layering strings on it. That's where the body is. And I guess that's really where the defining chord quality comes from is the strings. And you'll notice that's a very common theme in this song. So really exciting stuff. So I made this maybe like late 2022, and I was still kind of experimenting with vocal effects and that kind of stuff. So when I did that, I figured out that I can do like this almost like build-up type thing, or like almost a pseudo foreshadow thing, but it like I don't really know. I guess I'm just gonna call it a build-up for lack of better terms. All right, so let's dissect the bridge a little bit. The bridge, to me, almost felt like a filler when I first started to like really delve into this project, because I was so headstrong about wanting to make this song sound full, and the way I did that was just by adding instruments, adding horns, adding strings, adding all these chord quality differences and all this other stuff. And then I got to the bridge and I'm like, I want to add it, but I feel like it doesn't fit. So I did everything I could. I added horns, I added strings. Really, I didn't realize that I was kind of gutting the song of the final impact. And you'll see what I mean here soon. So pretty much all that's in this portion is vocals, acoustic guitar, uke, and bass. And that's it. That's all that's in the bridge.
I feed my brain information that was not obtained. Learn from insanity, learn that pain, that death is below me. Welcome to my mortuary.
Okay, and then this upcoming part right here then starts to introduce and build up into the final impact. This is what made me content with how the bridge was sitting, and how, for lack of better terms, empty, I guess. How empty it felt, how empty it sounded. This is what made me content with it, because I made this full sounding build up with this choir. And the choir on its own sounds like this.
From insanity, learn that pain. Welcome to my mortuary.
Okay, before we hit the final break, let's dissect the build-up, because the build-up is really, really cool. I'm really proud of how the build happens. So when it comes to like the band, the only thing that happens in the build-up is a suspended cymbal roll. It's kind of hilarious. That cymbal was a piece of crap. Like it was a brass cymbal that was off-brand and probably costed like $25. Like but what it did was, instead of this like clear, crisp, normal kind of cymbal sound that you get where a lot of the sparkle is on top and whatnot, this one sounds very dry and almost kind of sounds like a China cymbal in a sense. That's kind of why I used it. It didn't have the sparkle, but I wanted there to be more of like a wall of frequencies for this buildup, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, this is really interesting. The vocals on the buildup. Of course, you have your main vocals. People probably didn't hear this, and if they did, they got a good ear, because this was mainly texture. You'll notice that I have whispers going on right here. Listen very closely, and then I'll solo it.
Learn that pain, that death is below me. Welcome to my mortuary.
Now I'm going to solo it.
Death is below me. Welcome to my mortuary.
Some people, when I talked to them, didn't even realize that there was a backup part right here.
Not obtain. Learn from insanity. Learn that pain, that death is below me.
And I'm not doing anything special here too, and I spelt it wrong. It's mono. It's one take. That's all I'm doing. With the whisper, this portion was cool. I wanted to make it sound like it was really surrounding the viewer and getting them into something deep, which is exactly what happened. So now let's go ahead and get into the final hit. I'm really excited to show you guys this.
Learn that pain, that death is below me. Welcome to my mortuary.
Okay, so you get the idea, right? I'm gonna go ahead and break down as much as I can, in as quickly as I can and concise, what kind of elements are happening, because most of the tracks, most of the 71 tracks that I have right now are being played at the exact same time. You know how I was saying I was building up in that kind of stereo spectrum? Well, now I'm really in that ballgame. Like I'm kind of unleashing the whole thing. So I have more room to play with, in the sense of like ear to ear. For example, I double track the ukulele at the very end, and I double track the acoustic guitars at the end. Yep, and just so you can hear what's going on, I'm gonna solo the acoustic guitars. Yeah, so, and you'll notice it's kind of airy. Those guitars are quite airy. And I boosted the high end on those ones quite a bit, as well as the mids. Next up, we have the choir. And the choir, honestly, the choir has a soft spot for me. That's probably some of the best sounding vocals I think I've ever done layered. Just isolated, it sounds so ethereal. Like, just listen. The bass is something cool. I think I might have maybe explained this a little while ago. This bass track right here is only the low end. I pretty much have it, if I could, mute that. Pretty much just the low end. And then on the other track, I have no low end, and I destroyed the signal completely. It's the exact same take, by the way, I forgot to mention. This is the same take, copy and pasted on this other track. So I completely got rid of that low end and got rid of some harsh frequencies and whatnot. But that by itself sounds horrible. It sounds like this. Yeah, sounds pretty damn bad, but when you add it both together, it sounds kind of insane. After that, moving on to the next instrument, we have this. The violins are the strings, excuse me, are kind of following the choir. And you're probably thinking, like, what is that cello doing? That sounds weird. That's I really liked the crunch of the second. If I play it with the choir, you can really hear it when it's paired with that. I think one of the tenor tracks was doing that second, or two of them. I think I do it again. The violins right there are doing this. They're assisting the band in the call and response portion, the halfway break in between this section. Outside of that, brings us to the band. The band, this portion is probably some of the coolest orchestral production I've done to date, which doesn't really say that much because there's really not that much there, but I'm still proud of it nonetheless. So let's just solo the band and listen. So it sounds empty, and I recognize that. That's because I didn't need to make it sound full, because the other layers in the song make up for the emptiness sound. So really all I'm doing is I'm taking all of these, I'm not making them sound like full parts, and then I'm going to add another full part, and then another full part, and then I'm not doing that. I want to make something, I want one whole section, whether or not it's a band setting or not, to be cohesive with another section in a way that it sounds full. So I pretty much just described arranging. Oops. Here's something interesting. My friend Christian Bravo that I met back in college, he's an awesome French hornist, did some of these IRL parts, these acoustic parts for the French horn, of course. and I paired it with a sampled French horn to make it sound even bigger. So I want to mention some of these takes sound a little like I'm not going to say rocky because they were good takes, but they weren't here to sound like their own instrument. They were here to add a human texture. That's the only reason. The reason why I do that is because it's either that, where I add a human element to a full MIDI sound sampled library, or I actually find a real orchestra. I'm not going to do that. That's too much money, that's too much time. So I'm going to make my fake orchestra sound real with some real instruments. This is what that sounds like. This is the second chorus. Good takes, right? But then you add the sampled French horn, and now it sounds real. It's wild. It's wild how that works. And you'll notice it's missing a whole line of the real French horn. That's because I didn't really think it needed it. Sonically, I didn't think it had a pocket for it to sit in. So, but what I did was this portion right here. The only reason why it sounded this good, this little portion right here, was because of the real instrument. Let me play that for you. That right there adds such a human and organic element to this song. It's kind of wild. So with all of that in mind, it kind of breaks down into this. And I'm going to add the instruments one by one. And that is how it's made. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys were able to follow along with my mess of a brain. If you guys have any questions whatsoever about the song, drop it in the comments and let me know. I'd love to chat. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the future. Bye.